Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to go over how to use data validation and drop downs in Google Sheets. So if you want to add a drop down list in Google Sheets, it's pretty similar to how you would do it in Excel. If you go to the insert option, there's a selection for drop downs. Now there's a couple different ways that you can actually view the drop downs. So if I go to advanced options here, you'll see that there's this chip style, which is what it looks like now. It's like a rounded rectangle. You can select arrow, and this is your more conventional drop down that you're probably used to if you used Google Sheets in the past or Excel. And there's also plain text, which basically looks invisible, so it's kind of a bit dangerous in that sense because you can't even see that there's a drop down. You have to double click on it twice for it to be there. So I suggest using either the arrow or the chip just to make it stand out a bit easier. And if you want to add another option, we've got option 1 and option 2 here. We can add option 3 as well. So easy enough to add. We can add more if we need to. And the one cool thing about Google Sheets that you don't get with Excel is you can actually color code these different options. So instead of having them all the same color, you can make option 1 red, option 2 could be blue, option 3 could be green. And now when we go in the drop down, we see those different colors. So it makes it easy to differentiate one from the other. Now, another thing you can do potentially to make your managing your drop downs a bit easier is to use a named range, because right now here we're entering this manual. It isn't terribly optimal, especially if you want one central place to make these additions in. And so what I can do here is, let's say I want the options A, B, C, and D. So A, B, C, and D. And so I can select all this, and let's create a named range called my range. Hit enter, and it's good to go. Now I can create another drop down, and this time where it says drop down, I can select drop down from a range. If I select that, type in equals my range, so my named range. Now you see I've got options A through D on here, so I can easily click through them and select them, so I don't have to manage them. So that way, if I change, let's say D to an E later on, then I see that as well, right? So I've got those all listed on there. Now the one wrinkle is, let's say I had both D and E as well. Now my named range technically only goes up until D, because as you can see, I've selected D, it shows up my range, but if I go up to E, that's not a named range anymore. So what I would need to do is go to the data tab, select named ranges, and then go to that range that I've created and modify it. So instead of stopping at C4, it goes to C5. Done. And now my range is updated, and now I've got A through E again. So whether you want to manually update your options, and again, you can color code these however you want, different colors. If I hit done, I've still got my named range, and now I've added some coloring into these, so you have that neat flexibility to make your drop down look a little different than others, and again, highlight those items a whole lot easier. But drop downs, in a sense, in Google Sheets is fairly similar to how you do it in Excel. And as you may have noticed from some of those data validation rules, you've still got the similar sort of rules for data validation. You got date rules you can use, greater than, less than, custom formulas. So a lot of the functionality in terms of data validation is fairly similar to Excel. I'd say the main difference is probably just the look of it, the ability to add colors. But other than that, it's going to be pretty similar to what you're familiar with in Excel.